Hey, Forker's Spoon here. I thought I'd just do a quick little vlog type thing to talk about spoonie life, because that impacts my art so much. And, I know this content may not be for everybody. That's okay. I'll make sure I clearly delineate that in my titles. And if you aren't interested in spoonie stuff, just skip those videos, because I'm positive there will be art and spoonie stuff in a given week. So it's not like I'm going to put out months and months of spoonie things and no art. But I am flaring today. And I get that question a lot. What exactly is a flare? What counts? What do you mean? That kind of thing. Well, a flare is on a spectrum, right? You can have a small flare, a big flare. Well, it's kind of subjective in that way. But it's just where your symptoms of a given illness get worse. And these can be, triggered by something or not. For me, it's the barometric pressure, right? So I felt fine yesterday. Got up this morning, thought about filming, got all my supplies together, and then my body said no. My nerves started burning and tingling and itching, and I just couldn't even really process, right? Like, it took me a while of sitting in my craft room or art studio going, ow, 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 to even figure out what to do. So I, unfortunately, have had to spend the day in bed without clothes because my clothes hurt too much. Um, the only thing I can handle is this here really soft blanket. I've even had to tell my puppy dog to move if he gets too close to me because his weight is too heavy, right? So, a flare can really kind of derail you. And I think that is actually what defines a flare for me. If my symptoms have gotten to the point that I cannot adapt my way through functioning for the day, adapt my plans or whatever for the day, then it's a flare. And I think it's important to talk about this as a spoonie artist because, that really impacts your art. You can be really inspired, but if you're flaring and can't get in your studio or can't get to your supplies or your trimmers are acting up so you can't make a straight line, that can really impact your life, right? So, what do you do when you're flaring and really need to be creative? Well, there's a couple things you can do. You can make voice memos and journal entries and that kind of thing about ideas that you have. You can mentally kind of think through and visualize a project and start thinking about the steps of that project and the things you'll need. And then thinking, are there any steps of the project that you could do from bed or your couch or wherever? So, like, if you do a lot of collage, I recommend having a sick box, right? Which is where you put maybe a journal and some magazines that you like to clip out of and a few minimalist supplies all together in a box that you can get to and use somewhat comfortably from wherever you live when you're not feeling well, right? So I don't know if I can show you. I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and film this part and then I'll go back and show you with my camera facing the other way my little spoonie hidey hole for my art things that I can do while I'm flaring. They can't get it all done in one sitting, right? I have a friend in one of the support groups I belong to on Facebook who draws amazing art. But she has, you know, stopped drawing for the most part because it takes her multiple days to finish a piece, and she feels like that really gets in the flow of her art and changes it. And I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing for your illness to be changed. Or, sorry, I don't know that I'm getting a little choked up about this. I don't know that it's a bad thing to have your illness change your art, right? Because all of us spoonies and all of us with disabilities, we want representation. To quote a great CP blogger out there named Karen, sorry, I can't think of how to pronounce her name right now because of brain fog. Right, I'm in so much pain, my brain is not working. But I'll link to her in the description, and she's got a new hashtag going around, cheeky, not tragic. Right? We want representation. We don't want to be inspiration porn. We don't want people to pity us and that kind of thing. And I think if we want that to happen, then we need to put ourselves out there. You know, I have some acquired illnesses, and I also have a CP. You know, I came out of the womb with this. And growing up, yeah, and I think this is a common experience for anyone born with a disability or impairment. Growing up, you're taught to be as normal as possible. That is what people praise you for, right? When I was a kid, I didn't end up in the newspaper for, you know, standing up for myself and having pride in my disability, right? I ended up in the newspaper because I ended up on my swim team in high school and swam at regular meets. Like, you're just kind of conditioned to need to appear as normal as possible, right? And I think that we as spoonie artists, we as disabled artists, owe it to ourselves to not hide it all away because it doesn't look normal, right? Like, don't be afraid to adapt your process. You know, if you're not able to draw by hand anymore because you're having trouble holding the pencil, look into a tablet. You know, look into drawing that way. Adapt your process, right? However that needs to be done. A great example for me is I don't have any depth perception at all. I can't see three-dimensional space. Like, so drawing is a nightmare. And I always thought when I was growing up that getting a light box was cheating, right? But it's not. It's not at all. It's adaptation. You know, and there are times when I have a great idea for a piece and I can't execute all of it. Like, I can't draw the right hands or whatever. So I find friendly artists in my community who are willing to do that part for me. And, you know, that's not cheating. Tons of artists use assistants. Michelangelo did not paint the Sistine Chapel by himself, right? That did not happen. And back in the day, it was understood that you would get people to help you, right? But do we know the names of Michelangelo's assistants? No, not really. We don't know as a, common consciousness who helped him. Because it was understood that he would take credit for the work, right? Because it was his idea. And I think, I decided to pop out my phone and start vlogging in this sort of stream of consciousness way about this because I think it's high time that we stop looking at art and expression and ability and thinking it's only worth it and only worthy if it's normal. Whatever the hell normal is, right? Like, who defines what's normal? We do. So, if you're sitting out there going, oh, I would love to start drawing again, but my back won't handle the chair. Okay, could you draw using your computer and an overbed table? Maybe I loved knitting, but my hands just won't do it anymore. Have you tried a knitting machine or a knitting loom? Don't be afraid to try new ways of getting it done, right? Just because it's different doesn't mean it's not good enough. So anyway, I just, like I said, wanted to hop on my phone from my little Flare Nook and talk to you, artist to artist, about this because, there's been plenty of times in my life that I wish somebody had said that to me. That doing it makes it worth it. Doing it. Make the art. There is no such thing as bad art. There really isn't. I mean, maybe from a consumer point of view there is, looking at art. But in terms of the value of art, the real value of art isn't for the consumer. It's for the artist, right? There is no such thing as bad art. Because, yeah, using a new technique or trying to trial and error of adapting your process is messy. And it's not gonna look good at first. That doesn't matter. Right? It doesn't matter. It is still worth it. It is still worth your time and still worth your spoons, because eventually, if you keep allowing yourself the space to not do it the way you normally would, you will find the way that works. And, if the consuming public never sees your work as valuable again, that's on them. That has nothing to do with you. Because the value of your art is for you, right? The value of your art is not hiding, right? We live in a world where the Mango Mussolini leader of the United States made fun of the way that a person talked and moved because it was different, right? Maybe you can't work a full-time job and maybe you can't go march, right? You can't do it, and that's okay. If your body won't let you do it, that is okay. What you can do is continue to exist. Continue to have the best life that you can have. And everybody deserves to have the art, right? Whether it's good enough for anybody else or not, everybody deserves to take that time and put what's inside of them out in some way, form, or fashion. So if you're sitting there discouraged and down on yourself because you can't do the thing or you can't do the art exactly how you imagined it, I am begging you to do it anyway. That is what resistance is. Don't get weighed down by what, the government says you are, a drain on society or just taking benefits or whatever. That's all crap. And the way you prove that it's crap is doing the work anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna hop off of here before I start bawling. But, get out there in whatever way you can and make whatever art you can make, because it's all worth it. It is all worthy and it is all amazing. So yeah, thanks for listening to me rant. And, I hope you maybe heard something here you needed to hear. Take what works and leave what doesn't. And I will do my best to see you on Thursday, but it's probably going to be more like Friday or Saturday. Thanks for stopping by and make great art.